Got the numbers, and I'm introducing something new on today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I am the Associate Broker and Residential Sales Manager of ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 130, and I hope you guys are all having a really great day. So I am recovering from this weekend. My VFW post, it was hosting various people from throughout the country who were here in Phoenix for the Veteran of Foreign Wars National Convention. And we being the one of the closest posts to the actual convention site in the hotels, set up a shuttle service so people could come out and visit our post and eat and have camaraderie and all that good stuff. And so I had a very, very long weekend. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things over here. It's the afternoon right now on the 27th. It's about 2 o'clock, and I've spent most of my day outside sweating and whatnot, so I'm a little dehydrated. And we're going to let's talk about what's going on. So I want to go to the numbers first, and then I'm going to explain to you the rest of the podcast, because if you suddenly skip ahead of the numbers and you see a black screen, there's a reason for that, all right? But, you know, we always hit the numbers. Let's get those out of the way, because what we have going on is pretty much more the same of what we've been looking at, all right? Interesting thing here. This is numbers for July 26, 2023. Actives this week were 11,119, down 43 from the week before. New listings are 1,658, down 24. Contracts were 2,181, up 68. Closings for last week were 1,464. And coming soon to an MLS near you is 507 new listings. Our Cromford report numbers are 48.6, which are down. Supply is still lowering. Our demand is 78.4, which is down from the week before. And our Cromford report number is 161.3, which is also down. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out is that last week we actually saw an uptick in actives. All right. And I'm thinking about putting an asterisk on that week, because I did not actually run those numbers at 9 o'clock in the morning like I always do. I didn't actually get to them about 9 o'clock at night. So there is a chance that even though we showed like a positive 23 or something like that, that might have been a glitch in the matrix. All right. So we're still continuing the trend line down. So if anybody got their hopes up out of bat last week, sorry, I don't think it's going to happen. We are slowly reducing, still not at the rate that we were changing earlier, but we see things starting to, so hopefully maybe plateau out. All right. So don't trust last week's numbers. That's what we got going on. For our Cromford report numbers, all right, we can still see that, you know, Chandler's still leading the pack. In fact, they're still up month over month. They're at, 331.7. They're up 9% month over month. But Fountain Hills, Glendale, and Gilbert, the next three, are all showing a decrease. They're still at the top of the market right now, but they are showing, they're decreasing. In fact, every place that we have out there right now is a seller's market except for Buckeye, and Buckeye is right there, right? And they're showing 16% month over month from, so there's a good chance that we will be sitting there and going, Buckeye just went into a seller's market. But let's take a look at Queen Creek. It is down 6%, and it's at 111.3. If it drops another 1.3, right, it will go into a balanced market. And what we can say is if that trend continues where they just drop 6, if they drop another 6, if they continue that drop down, you see where I'm going with this, right? Queen Creek could be moving into the balanced market. Maricopa, still on a slight seller's market. They're up only 1%. And the biggest drop we see out there is Tempe. And Tempe is just so up and down, it's almost ridiculous, right? Their Cromford report index is at 139.9. They're actually down 25%. And I'm starting to wonder if Fountain Hills and where's Scottsdale? Well, Scottsdale's up 6. Whether some of these places might be getting impacted by the Airbnb, and whether or not they're getting properties hitting the market because the Airbnb homeowners have decided that it's time to get out of that particular racket. Speculation on my part. So like I said, it's been a busy week for me. So, and I still got a bit of congestion and cough from that cold and everything that I had the week. Not last weekend, but the weekend before. So yesterday I worked from home, and yesterday I recorded the first episode, and not the first episode, but the first actual video that I put down of a second YouTube channel that I'm about to start. And the second YouTube channel, I'm only going to reference it in this video right here. So if you're one of those lucky viewers who happen to be paying attention to this right now, this is the one and only reference to it. All right. It is a new channel that I'm going to be coming up. I'm going to call it CircleWorks. All right, CircleWork. And it is going to tie into my little catchphrase that I say at the end of every episode, saying, work your circles. Right? And I have explained before in the past what I mean by that, but I decided over time that I can sit there and I can run, if not an entire YouTube channel, I can at least do a video series on what I mean by that and what the different circles are and how they impact each other and how they influence it and how they influence you. All right, so we're going to go to that. All right, as I recorded, this is almost a proof of concept, but it is pretty much really close to what I want the format to be. All right, and then I'll catch you on the other side for the wrap-up.
Hello, and welcome to CircleWorks. This is a multi-part video series to describe what I mean when I say work your circles. Today, we're going to be dealing with the fourth circle, which is a work and community circle. I had two incidences this week that made me want to do this particular recording, and in the end, I hope you see how they're both related, but they both play into a rising issue that I see with the use of AI and ChatGPT for human interactions. We've gone around through websites now, and if you're ever on any kind of website where you're looking for a service or to buy something, you're going to get that little pop-up down in the corner, and it's going to act like there's an actual human being there who's asking you questions and how can I help you and what are you looking for today? And when in reality it's just a glorified computer program that has a bunch of canned responses based on keywords that you use when you ask your question. And we're seeing this more and more in business. We're seeing it more in interactions. When you call your bank, you'll have a computer that just speak into the microphone and I will direct you to the right person. And we're starting to see it move into what I consider uncomfortable realms. And I want to tell you a story about what I heard this week. I watch a podcast, listen to a podcast. It's called The Right Report. And I listen to it on Stitcher. And I'll include that in the show notes below. And yesterday's episode, it was the July 25th episode. He recounted a story out of Japan of AI going wrong. And it's not that the AI itself miscalculated, and it's not that the AI itself got the wrong information put in, so it gave the wrong output. But what happened was the human beings involved in the system depended on the AI to do their work for them. Right? And AI lacks something called discernment. It lacks nuance. AIs do not understand tone. They don't understand sarcasm and cynicism. And it can throw out bad results. So the story I heard goes like this. A Child Protective Services in Japan was reported that there was a potential child abuse being enacted on a 4-year-old girl. And the social workers came in and interviewed the mother. And the results of that interview were imported into an AI system that Child Protective Services did to screen out and see whether or not this is actually something they needed to get more involved in. The AI system responded back with a 39% chance that physical abuse was happening. That 39% chance by the AI was under the threshold that department was using to see whether or not they wanted more interaction and then intervene into this situation. And a couple weeks ago, that 4-year-old girl was beaten to death by her mother. After the investigation, they discovered that the employees of the Child Protective Services had become more and more leaning on that AI system, right, to help them with their caseload. They weren't doing the work themselves. They were basically outsourcing it to this computer program. Only when it hit the threshold would they take the next step. And this is concerning to me because as I see more and more, industry start getting into using AI and ChatGPT, I'm actually starting to get more and more concerned. Because what you're seeing is that human interaction starting to impact this work and community circle here. And this disturbs me. Right? As we work our circles, the farther out from the center you get, the less influence you have. Right? But at the work and community circles, you still have influence. You still have the ability to interact with your coworkers and the people in your community. Right? We over the last 10 years or so, we have all organically learned when you send a text, you do not send a text using the same words and syntax as you would over direct voice communication. And you do not, and we've known since well before that, there are things you can say on the phone which is going to be taken completely different if you say it to somebody in their face, one-on-one with them. And we've just picked this up intuitively. As we move into this new technology, we're going to see more and more these things happen. When the AI is between you and another human being making that communication. In this case, the communication difference, the AI was between a 4-year-old girl and her mother and a social worker. Even if the social worker was there in the room, the lines of communication were being filtered, polarized, through that AI because that individual social worker was leaning more on the interpretation from the AI than of their own discernment and their own education, and ultimately their own gut feeling of what was going on. So, that's a pretty heavy story, and it, like I said, it's a heavy story. But I got another story. Friday night, I was at my Veterans of Foreign Wars post, and we have the national meeting this week. And we had people from throughout the entire country coming into our post because we were closely located to the hotels and the convention center that the meeting is being held at. And we had shuttle buses bringing people from the hotels to our post. And we were putting on a dinner. We were providing entertainment. We were basically, trying to give these guys a good time and let them know how we do things here at our post. And during the course of Friday night, we had pizza for the guests, camaraderie, we showed off the post, and we also had our karaoke host, DJ, show up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. And people who know me understand I am a big fan of karaoke, and I never pass up a chance to get a microphone in my hand and warble a couple songs. This particular night, because of the crowd, it turned into a very heavy country playlist night. And I have a series of country songs that I like to sing. And I have some songs that I really like to sing because, one, they make me sound good. They are songs that I have literally been listening to since my teens. And I put a song up. It's a simple song. It's from a band called Alabama that was really big back in the 80s. They were known for Roll On. If you're going to play in Texas, you got to have a fiddle in the band. And they have a relatively obscure song. It came off of their album The Closer You Get that was released in 1983. It was written by by one of their band members, Randy Owen. And the song is called Lady Down on Love. I was 12 years old, 13 years old or so, the first time I heard this song. And it is a song that was written by Randy when they were playing a gig, and at the bar that they were playing a gig at, there was a party of women who were there throwing a celebration, celebrating one of their members' divorce. And he noticed that no matter how much the other women were trying to cheer up the divorcee, she wasn't very happy with it. And he eventually found out that there was a divorce and that she was experiencing the loss and grief of her marriage. And that's what the song Lady Down on Love's about. It's about a lady who was asked to marry when she was 18 and has recently got divorced, and she is trying to figure out how to live her life again. The second verse on that is the situation from the man's standpoint, and it's a really great song. I'll include it on the show notes below. But it's a great karaoke song. I like doing it. Little maudlin. So I throw it up there and I sing my song. People clap. I hand the mic over. I clear the stage. And I go out back to the smoke pit to hit my vape pen. So as I'm out back in the smoke pit, this older lady comes out, and I would say she's probably late 60s, early 70s or so. All right, she's definitely got a decade, maybe two on me. And she comes out and she asks me, was I the person who sang that song? And I said yes. And she goes, I love that song. I have not heard that in decades, in years. And that song means a lot to me. And so, when you go through life, all right, just file this away. When you go to your life and you interact with strangers, you are going to recognize that these people in your working community space, they have stories. And every once in a while, it is very important for them to be able to share their story with you, with anybody. You just happen to be the person that has given them the opportunity to share this story. So, Maria, this lady, shared me the story about the summer she heard that song. And that song came out the same time period where she woke up in the hospital. She was pregnant, and she woke up the mother of a baby boy. She woke up the mother of a baby boy who had to be immediately emergency removed from her because of a C-section, because her husband at the time had assaulted her. And as a result of that emergency C-section, she had to have a hysterectomy, and she was no longer capable of having any children but her previous daughter and her son. And that song that I decided to sing Friday night, because I like it, was that song that she listened to while she recovered. Living that song. That song has become a monument to her experience. And she decided to share that story with me. And then she told me about how grateful she was to have her children. Right? And during the times when she was in hiding from her husband, while they were trying to chase him down or whatever they were trying to do, that song would come on and she'd cry. And she felt she wanted to share that story with me. So she tells me this story, and she's crying, and I'm crying, and we just sit there and hug. And I thank her for sharing that story with me. And we talk a little bit more, and she tells me how her life has been since then, and how happy she's been since then. But hearing that song again helped her remember where she was and be grateful for where she is today. And I love that. That's the kind of thing that gives me a warm, fuzzy glow for the rest of the week. And honestly, that's sort of kind of the reason why I like to do karaoke sometimes. Every once in a while when I drop those songs out there, the weird ones, it's because I know somewhere out there, I hope somewhere out there, somebody is going to get that message that I'm putting down. This is not the first time this has happened to me. And it's a beautiful thing. I hope anybody listening to this has had that experience out there where they've been able to put something out there in the world and get that kind of result back. Right? Yes, it brought up an uncomfortable situation for her. Yes, it brought up a painful time in her life, but allowed her to reflect how happy she is today. Right? And this is the kind of work that you can do in this fourth sphere, work and community. Right? Just a very small thing. Right? As we get farther out in our circles, we have less of an influence than we do on our inner circles. Right? We can have more influence on our family and friends. We can have more influence on our body. We can have more influence on our mind. Right? But that work and community is where you start actually interacting with strangers. There's a story I heard once, and I don't know if it's true, but it's made its rounds enough times, that there was a San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. It's legendary for people who commit suicide off of it, jumpers. And one day they fished a body out of the water. And in the suit coat of the person that they fished out, there was a note that says, "I'm going to walk to the bridge, and if one person smiles at me, I won't jump." And that has really, really stuck with me. All right? I hope it sticks with you too. As you go around through life and the jerk in the car cuts you off, or somebody in the store looks like they're having a bad day, or anything along these lines, that's your work and community circle that you can do something to hopefully make a good and positive impact on somebody's day. Yeah. Now that I got going on this, another great example. We were in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru 2 weekends ago. And for some reason, the car in front of us decides to stop in the drive-thru line. And if you've ever, classic drive-thru line, the order places on one side of the building, and then you drive around your building and you pick up on the other side. And this person has stopped right there at the order point. Those who aren't familiar with Chick-fil-A, they have people out there taking your order at the busiest time of the day, and they are literally walking down the line of cars, placing your orders on pads, swiping your card, and when you drive around, you can pick your food up and you're ready to go. And this woman in front of us decided she did not want to drive forward, which means cars are backing up. And because of this particular parking lot, not only do cars back up through the drive-thru line, but they actually back up and out into the parking lot of that shopping center. And because of how close it is to the street, it actually starts blocking traffic on the street itself. But this lady is not moving forward. A car behind me honks the horn a couple times, and she puts her hand out the window and just waves a couple times. All right. At a point, the car behind me literally hangs on the horn for about 30 or 40 seconds. Right. I'm sort of bemused. All right. My wife's getting annoyed, and we're sitting there, and I finally, coming up with little mental reasons in my head. I was like, this woman probably wants to change her order up. She probably thinks her order didn't put in. And for some reason, she is waving, hoping the sales people will notice that the line's not happening and pull and come over and see what she wants. But they never did. They have gone all the way down the line, and now they're taking their orders down through the parking lot because they cannot see why this lady's there. Eventually, somebody leaves the store and walks around because they've noticed nobody's coming through the drive-thru, but we have 10 orders sitting in the queue. And I watch that person walk up and talk to the lady, and then the lady pulls all the way forward, and we pull all the way forward, and at that drive-thru door, there are bags and bags of food and drinks and malts and everything sitting there waiting for this lady to come around. And she had literally impacted at least 20 people. Not just the people in the line, remember that, but also the people in the parking lot and the people out on the street. And then she pulls forward to the window, and I'm watching her and she apparently decides to order something else. I'm watching her order something else, and they're handing her the little card swipe, and she's doing the card swipe thing. And the person at that window starts handing bags of food out to everybody else in the line. And at one point, I made a snarky comment to the poor girl walking by, delivering food. And I said something to the effect of, and see, that's why we shouldn't allow Californians into our city. I'm just saying, it was a California license plate on there, on a Prius. And, but for whatever reason, that woman decided she needed to be the center of the universe. And that woman right there decided she wanted to change her order up, which is fine. Right? She could have pulled around. Maybe she didn't know she could pull around. And the next question ultimately is, I watched the manager a couple times gesture to her to move forward and park in one of the spaces that they provide in these places for people who need to wait for food. And I saw her shake her head no through the window. So, this is what I call negative impact on work and community. Now, I don't know if she's just really having a bad day. Maybe she was. Right? Maybe there's something in the world that she wanted to do, this or that and the other. But that woman on that particular day was a net negative in a lot of people's lives. So what do we have here? I have shown you, hopefully, an example of good things that can happen in the working community. I have shown you something that's a negative, impact that you can have on your working community. And we've just discussed what happens when you outsource the work to AI or technology in this working community sphere. So what do you think about this? If you have any comments, please leave them in the show notes below, and I will put the link to the Alabama song in there. And if I can find a link to that article about the Japanese AI, I will also put that in the show notes below. Other than that, thank you very much for listening. Work your circles, and have a great day.
All right. So as you can see, the concept behind that is each episode I'm going to do a series. First episode is going to explain the concept, and then each video afterwards is going to explain each circle as we move out. Now, I recorded that particular video covering what I call the fourth circle, which is your working community circle, and it, I want to have each video after the explanatory videos. I want each video as things come up. This is not going to be a weekly occurrence because I just cannot do 2 videos a week. But what I want to do is, as something comes along and as I have time, and honestly, as the muse takes me and makes me her meat puppet, record, my thoughts on this, that, and the other. The concept of circle work is not unique. All right. It is actually, I don't know where I remembered coming across it back in the, way in the back last weeks before. I do a lot of reading. I pick up a lot of things, and every once in a while, that idea will pop up, from something I read 3 years ago. But this in particular one is, you have your sphere of influence, the things that you can actually have an impact on. You have the sphere of concerns, the things that have impact on you. I took that and sort of ran with it. I do know that there is some sort of new age feminist whatever group out there that does this thing they use the term circle work also. This is not that. All right. And if for some reason you were watching this video because the algorithm decided to put this on there, sorry, this is something not unlike totally completely different, but it's definitely going to be something else. So, and I'm actually looking forward to it because, I got a lot of thoughts running around up there. And like I said in that video, every once in a while, you run into somebody who really wants to tell you a story and you sit there and you listen to them. It's polite. Well, I got a lot of thoughts and I got a lot of things I want to say and whatnot that I do not want to be saying on my real estate channel. So this is going to be an outlet for that. And who knows, maybe one of these days they can be presented in front of a grand jury wondering whether or not I need to go to trial. So with that in mind, work your circles All right, watch your children and pets around the water. We got monsoon last night, so the storms are here, which means if the road is flooded or anything is flooded, do not drive into it. And you guys have a really great weekend, and I'll catch you guys next week.